Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Snap UK podcast, your weekly stop for all news, views and opinions about the NFL from this side of the pond. You can check out our musings on the website, thesnappodcast.com, or join us in debate on Twitter at thesnapuk. Today I'm hosting, hence being able to remember the Twitter handle, as Griff is dealing with the impact of a runaway Egyptian fraudster in his life. Needless to say, there's a lot of camel spit involved.
Did he marry that one as well?
Probably. We're back in our spiritual home of the doghouse. I'm joined by G-Lo, Johnny Thrash, 4 inches. Griff isn't here because he can't sit down normally after said camel incident.
He don't listen to this, luckily.
Yeah, it's all right. He'll skip the first part. Gary is safe. Week 8 saw the Chiefs and the Chargers on a bye. We've got 15 games to get through and a roundup of the trades which have occurred as the deadline passes whilst we record. So let's kick off with the final instalment of the international series in London, which Johnny, Paul, you are both at. Social media has been its usual toxic self about the game. I've seen little positiveness about it. Queues for beer, queues to get in, a crap quarterback play. But did you have a good time?
I had a nice day out with my mates in which there was the slight distraction of a football game and some queuing. The football was abysmal.
We should say that the Broncos did eventually win 21-17 after Russell Wilson finally woke up this season.
I mean, the last drive he did was magnificent to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, just more than anything, because Griff was going to pick their tight end in fantasy on the train and decided not to. And watching him, the Broncos fans elate and him kind of deflate at the same time with every play as Russell Wilson always passed to him on that drive was wonderful.
Yeah.
Worth it in itself.
Yeah, I mean, the Jags went off well. You know, Wilson had a terrible start, getting intercepted straight off. The Jags looked really confident. And then Lawrence was intercepted in the end zone from about 7 yards out.
It was a bad throw.
It was a bad throw. It was a stupid throw. And then it's like either he lost confidence in himself or Doug Peterson lost confidence in him. And all he did was small throws to Etienne, and just handing it off to the running backs. And it became an attritional game to watch. And actually, it got to the point where I wanted the Broncos to win because the Jags had been so disappointing after that start. You're just like, yeah, you deserve to lose.
Etienne is some player, though.
Etienne is brilliant. Like, it was funny because we sat there the other day and last week, and I think because we were on about Barkley, and went, what other teams have just a one person to rely on? The Jags rely on Etienne more than anyone.
They've just got rid of James Robinson.
After getting rid of James Robinson.
But yeah,
Etienne had 24 carries, 156 yards and 1 touchdown.
He was brilliant. He was brilliant. The rest of the team are...
Well, they didn't get given a chance. They spent a lot of money on Christian Kirk, and he didn't seem to be involved in any of the plays.
I guess Christian Kirk was probably coming up against Etienne, who is probably the top five cornerbacks in the league.
Top 5, yeah.
You know, you could make arguments that he's possibly the best quarterback in the league right now. But the only pass catcher who made any difference was Evan Ingram, who's playing as a wide receiver. Looks actually the player that New York sort of hoped he could be. Of course, it's Evan Ingram. There's an injury coming around the corner.
Was the game any more or less than you expected with two bad teams, though? Because it was at least a close game. Blowouts are worse.
Yeah,
from the live games we've been to. Like you were still involved in this game till 15 seconds to go. And in terms of value for money, at least you were there. Like some of the other games with like a quarter to go, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stadium empties as well, and the whole place just loses its atmosphere.
It was very nice to watch because it felt like you were at a Broncos home game. The stadium was packed with Broncos fans.
It sounded loud on the TV.
It was. The atmosphere was decent. The Broncos fans are loud and good. But as well, it was better than... It was the game I thought we were getting because both teams are rubbish. But 6 weeks ago, or when the season started, you thought, fucking hell, we've got the Broncos with Wilson and we've got the rebirth of Lawrence. This could be a cracker. And it was a damp squib. Yeah. And it's a shame because...
What were they both coming into it, like 2 and 4 or something?
To both 2 and 5, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
to me, it would have been roughly what I expected. At least it was close. You saw some good plays and you saw some dross.
Yeah. It's always, I've seen Wilson a couple of times now. Obviously, what I saw with the Seahawks, he was better. But, there were glimpses in Wilson that make you think, actually... It's like so many other quarterbacks.
The first glimpses made me think he's definitely busted.
Yeah.
I was feeling very smug after the first
It's like
quarter.
so many quarterbacks at the moment. When it breaks down and they let the quarterback do what they do, they look great. When they're not withheld by bizarre play calling and whatever else, they look... It's just another team where the play caller needs to not. He's obviously trying to keep his job, and he should be keeping his job by going,
get out of the way.
I'm getting out of the way.
Or just sitting down with him, going, "What do you like to do?" 'Cause
Yeah.
he looked so awkward in the first quarter.
I think that's one of the things that I think there was an interview with Sean Payton a couple of weeks back, and because he was at the Broncos Chargers game. I think the question to him was like, what would you do? He's like, I would go back and look at the Seahawks tapes and look at what he's done well there, and then ask him, like, what are your 10 favourite plays? And they would immediately be in the playbook, which seems pretty sensible. But you're right, he just doesn't seem comfortable in that offense.
I remember Wilson at the Seahawks. Like, he'd love a running back, like a fake when pass action. Sorry. I can't remember the thing.
Screen.
Yeah. So
QB read option or
no. So he'd drop back. They pretend they're going for a longer throw and you just dump it off to the running back as a screen.
So a screen then.
A screen. That's the word I was looking for. Apologies.
Let's not let John talk for any.
But he's not done that. He doesn't do that. And I don't know if it's because Javonte Williams is injured.
Yeah,
but who was the best?
Melvin Gordon ain't your running back for that, so I can get that in a way.
Latavius Murray might be though.
But Latavius Murray could be.
Yeah.
He was the only player up until the end who was moving the ball.
He's very underrated
He's
as a
so
runner.
underrated.
he's done well everywhere he's been.
Yeah.
Right, come on, let's move on. It wasn't that good a game to spend any more time.
Completely agree. Right.
So Wembley, sort yourself out.
Yeah. NFC West, 49ers last week traded for Christian McCaffrey, and this week decided to run half their offense through him. McCaffrey was involved in plays that resulted in 49% of the Niners' total yards gained as they once again beat the Rams, this time 31-14. Elsewhere in the West, the Cardinals fell to 3-5 after losing to the Vikings 34-26, but will start in LA. Is this a 49er offense that's primed for something special, or the Rams just having one hell of a Super Bowl hangover right now?
Well,
Could be a bit of both.
Well, no.
Don't you always do well against the Rams? Isn't that kind of like
eighth time in a row we beat him in the regular
it's
season?
just your automatic W on the scheduling sheet?
He's kind of got...
He's got
McVay's number, And look, when we've got Jimmy G at quarterback, I don't think you can say anything like we're primed for something special.
Jimmy had one of his good games, like 21 for 25, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, solid stats.
Solid.
Good stats,
Not
actually.
special.
No,
Not special.
I wouldn't... He's missed
230 yards isn't anything
He's missed
special.
4 passes.
But you don't need him to be spectacular.
Yeah.
You need him to be solid.
We don't know we've got Christian McCaffrey.
Exactly.
What was a perfectly valid trade. Something like someone said, until he gets injured next week and then like a prick. I am not buying a shirt. It's absolutely fine. And obviously we had no Debo this week. And I think that was really helpful in some ways because I think it made them put the faith in McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Because if Debo had been there, some of these plays may have gone to Debo.
Yeah, that's fair.
And, it was a tight game till half time. I think the defence really stepped up in the second half of this game as well. So I think it's a bit of a mixture. The Rams, they won the Super Bowl at home, yeah, didn't they? That was their big goal, yeah. And they chop and change that team so much.
Yeah.
You're going to get periods where it doesn't quite work. They've still got a lot of talent.
I just think the complete lack of a running game for the Rams. They had 21 carries for 56 yards in total.
Yeah.
Ronnie Rivers had the most carries.
Well, they've got rid of. Well, they're not playing. Akers, Henderson.
Gone.
Henderson's not playing.
Barely playing.
They've got people we've never even heard of, and Cup can't do it all on his own.
Alan Robinson
all the time.
is starting to look better, but even on
Cup got injured as well.
Cup got injured. Apparently, he's going to be back next week. But even on defense, players like Jalen Ramsey, the 49er touchdowns. There's pictures on social media of Jalen Ramsey just standing in the background going, "What?"
Von Miller. That's the difference.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they try. Rumor has it they tried to get Brian Burns off of the Panthers and offered the Panthers 2 first-round picks, which got rejected.
What, in like 2032?
Well, yeah, that's what you say. It's not going to be in 23. It'll be 24 and 25. But yeah, I think the lack of an edge rusher is hurting them.
Because you've got Donald in the middle.
Yeah.
That's not the same, is it?
I mean, even in the past, you had pressure, not great pressure, like Dante Fowler.
Yeah.
Is a good enough player that you have to at least plan something for him. I think you asked the question of, is this a Super Bowl hangover? I'm going to declare it now. A 3-4 record for that team is an embarrassment.
I would agree. I think when you've got someone like Matt Stafford at quarterback and you've got a coach with the ilk of Sean McVay, they should be better. There are games they should have won, which they've lost.
Stafford, he scored a good touchdown. I thought he was going to get absolutely murdered when he did that.
He was lined up to get murdered.
He was just
back
jinked out of the way. But apart from that, I think Stafford struggled a bit this year.
Yeah,
he just doesn't look right.
He came in injured, didn't he? And maybe
offensive line as well.
The offensive line's appalling.
Although you lose someone like Whitworth, it's a big loss, isn't it?
He wasn't sacked that much in the first half.
Yeah. Precious though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's precious, but I don't think he was sacked at all in the first half. He had 2 sacks in the second half.
He's not the quickest.
Can I raise the question of his motivation? Because he's got the ring.
That's every team, isn't it? That's every team. And then that's the difference between a Brady and a Stafford or a Rodgers, people that have only got one ring.
But he's turning into Joe Flacco once he got the ring.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout.
I know there was a lot to like about the 49ers this week, but they're not for such a vaunted front seven on the defense. They barely touched Marcus Mariota 2 weeks ago. The week before, they didn't really do much. And we keep talking about how bad this offensive line is, and they got 2 sacks. Are they still to play into this season?
I know you say every team has injuries, and you're absolutely right. But Arik Armstead is a big loss.
It's a big loss.
Big loss for the 49ers.
And when you look at our numbers on defence, we're still top 3 or 4 for every defensive category.
I know, but for the last 3 weeks, they've been average.
They're an inconsistent team.
I think they're much better at cornerback and at safety now than they were last year.
They were.
They've improved dramatically.
Well, you've got players there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you still got Fred Warner in the middle. He made an absolutely brilliant tackle.
Absolute spear.
Yeah.
But brilliant.
Anyway, Cardinals lose to Vikings 26-34. I don't think that scoreline does it justice, really. I think the Vikings should have been well away from this realistically. And the Cardinals were in with a shout at the end. So the Vikings are 6-1 now. Much to our chagrin, Griff might be right. They might be winning the NFC North.
I think it's
that's
an absolute lock now.
3 games back, aren't they?
Yeah.
I agree that's happening. I mean, they've also been quite smart. I know we're talking about trades later, but TJ Hawkinson coming in with Irv Smith going on IR is just smart work by the front office.
Yeah, this might be their Super Bowl window, quite frankly, because they're always good. But now they're in the top 3 teams in the NFC.
Is Kirk Cousins that much worse than Matt Stafford?
But he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to be any worse.
My point is, I've always been a Cousins fan, haven't I? Yeah, not in a dodgy.
Check his search history.
A Kirk Cousins fan. And I do think he is a good enough quarterback to be successful with the right pieces around him. And right now, when you look at, their running back room, both running backs are good.
Yep.
The wide receiver core, brilliant.
But they have a top 3 wideout in the league.
Everything is good. The defense is solid, not amazing, but solid.
I think the biggest difference is coaching, isn't it? Where Mike Zimmer just wasn't right for that offense.
Occasionally, coaches just go like their time runs out.
Yeah.
And that's it.
You think that Vikings team, basically, most of the pieces are there that Case Keenum took really deep.
Yeah, exactly.
So they should be doing well.
Yeah.
And I think it is their time.
With the Packers dropping off, it's the prime time to do that.
Absolutely. As the Cardinals, Hopkins has another great game. He had 12 receptions, 159 yards, and a touchdown. That's his second game back, another 100-yard game.
It's great because the drugs stay with you.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It helps Murray out, but what doesn't help him out is the fact that he's just got no offensive line. He's got his starting centre, his guard, and I think 2 tackles were out this week, and he just couldn't cope because he's so small.
He is quick, though.
Yeah.
He's good.
And he needs to be with no O-line.
He's got Roadrunner playing.
And that's when he's at his best, though, isn't it? When shit breaks down and just let him
catching up with him.
But he can't keep doing it. But he's keeping them in games. I know Griff's a Murray hater, but
he's a quarterback hater.
That's fair.
But Murray is keeping this is a shoddy team, and he's keeping them in games.
Yeah,
But it's not a shoddy team.
They've got DeAndre Hopkins.
They've got DeAndre
Zach
Hopkins.
Ertz.
Zach Ertz is a good tight end.
No one to block for him.
Marquise Brown is a okay wideout option.
Injured.
Rondale Moore is a good wideout option.
He's fine. But
The run game has been poor this year.
Run game. JJ Watt on defence is
last year. Their run game was really good.
Their defence is
James Conner scored like 20 touchdowns, but it's not working as well this year.
JJ Watt with 2 sacks on Sunday. That's literally the first time he's turned up.
Yeah, but that's it. He passed it.
Yeah. He should be a
part-time
player.
For a bloke who's destined for the Hall of Fame, it's nice to see him still playing.
He should be playing how Von Miller's playing in Buffalo, where he's not on for 100% of the snaps. He's probably on for 50% of the snaps, and you get 100%.
That's just between a good team and a bad team.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Move on. The Dolphins beat the Lions 31-27 in a game that started out like a house on fire. 2 teams trading blows with each possession. Tua is looking back to being an elite quarterback, but then who wouldn't be with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? Also, in NFC North, the Bears fell to the Cowboys 49-29, which puts a bit more bare gloss on the result. A defensive touchdown for Micah Parsons after a mental error from Justin Fields, helping the Cowboys to a sizable score. Starting Detroit, actually, with Miami winning 31-27. The wideouts, their figures are just incredible. Tyreek Hill, 12 receptions, 188 yards. Jalen Waddle, 8 receptions, 106 yards.
That's 2 touchdowns, was it? Waddle?
Yeah. Tua just has to be, vaguely accurate.
Tua is good.
Tua is good. He is
I know that Griff didn't like.
Alabama.
I'm sure it was Griff that me and him used to argue about Tua. Like, it must have been.
I can't imagine Griff not liking a rookie
quite a
quarterback.
few people.
If a quarterback isn't over 30 years old, Griff doesn't like him.
But I think quite a few people have doubted Tua, and he didn't have the greatest first season, injuries, etc. But he clearly is a talented quarterback. And when you look at those Alabama quarterbacks that came out, Tua's still the best.
I think Jalen Hurts might have a thing to say about that.
Right, well, Jalen, did he play much there?
Sorry, what was that?
I know, I'm completely turned around on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
I'll hold my hands up and say...
He's got leadership and everything, hasn't he?
But I agree with you. Tua is looking solid, and I think it does help in terms of getting rid of those injury issues he was having. And you are right in terms of what you wrote here. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle will make any quarterback look better. They'd make Nathan Peterman look good.
Well, that's it. If you've got a quarterback looking to make his name, throw some receivers at him. That's what the other teams like the Bears, the Titans, with quarterbacks who have either not made their name or struggling, that's what they've done. And
it's a fair shout. Like, for quarterbacks to succeed, they've got to have a good cast around them in terms of players, but they've got to have good coaching around them. I think Mike McDaniel is proving himself to be a really good offensive coach.
Yeah. Like,
Well, Aaron Rodgers can't throw to rubbish wide receivers, so I don't see why you think Tua could.
That's a very valid
I
point.
think the only thing that's a cause of concern here for the Dolphins, the Lions really got a march on them early, and you can't let better teams do that.
Yeah, but the Lions are just funny. Dan Campbell would have been there. Oh!
But
The fuck was that?
Being like a big like gorilla man or whatever he thinks he is.
The Lions, you know,
Just annoys me so much that like everyone
couldn't tell.
loves his like jock stuff. Oh, he's such a bloke, such a geezer doing his press ups with the lads. No one gives a fuck, mate. You won one game.
Go and win some games. Yeah.
You're terrible.
it's fair. But the Lions have been decent on offense up until the last couple of games. They were scoring like 30
Score
points a game.
points, but they need to score about 50 to win a game.
Because their defense is absolutely terrible. You said they've sacked their defensive backs coach. They just need to sack the defensive coordinator.
yeah, it needs burning down and starting again on defense.
I just removed Jeff Okuda's key card from the building.
I said
Aiden Hutchinson. I never hear about him. Like, is he still there? Like week one,
no,
week one, he was doing okay, and then
Week 2, he was doing all right as well.
and after that,
But
he
had-
can't carry the entire defense on his back.
He had one.
the Lions. Come on.
He's got a stress fracture already of the back.
He had one tackle this week. Yeah, it was shit.
I will say the Dolphins' offensive line is
It's good.
pretty decent.
To be fair,
He's probably going up against the guy they got from the Saints, who's
Terran Armstead.
Terran Armstead. That's a fearsome bloke to go up against.
you are also trying to catch fog in terms of trying to catch Hill and Waddle.
Yeah,
They're
the-
always in so much space. You know, for the NFL. Like,
you know those guys, those men who believe that they can beat Serena Williams in a tennis game.
Like normal people like you, John.
No, but
I could, yes.
But like men on Twitter who think that I could beat Serena Williams. Like I think my closest opinion to that I could have American football basis. I think I could lead a drive for the Dolphins because their wide receivers are so brilliant. Like you just need to be able to throw a ball 20 yards and it'd be fine. They're in space.
I mean, Gesicki as well doesn't get enough credit because of those. He's a very decent tight end.
He's very
Good red
streaky
zone.
this year.
Very good in
but
the
yeah,
red zone.
Which
Which all you want your tight end for.
yeah, absolutely.
Run game
dancing
still
thing.
needs to be better. And they've obviously
Does.
brought in Jeff Wilson to fumble the ball for them to go alongside that other
Raheem Mostert.
Raheem
Yeah.
Mostert.
Yeah.
So basically they're getting all of the Niners reject running backs, but it gets us some more value back from the McCaffrey trade.
it's like what Steve Bruce would do if he was an American football coach. He'd just get in the blokes he knows.
Harry
Yeah,
Redknapp, just
yeah.
get Peter
Yeah.
Crouch.
Peter
Crouch.
Crouch.
bringing in
Defoe,
Dwight Gale
yeah,
up
yeah.
running back.
Nikai Cruncher.
Didn't Steve Bruce hire his neighbour this year?
Yeah, Eric Peters.
Moving on, as I mentioned, it, the Bears lost to the Cowboys 29-49. Cowboys team looks good.
Well, it does when Zeke's not playing.
Yeah, well, that's a great
No,
point.
that's
actually.
that's bullshit. Zeke's fine.
Zeke's fine, but Pollard's
brilliant.
absolutely
Zeke's
destroyed
fine.
it.
Pollard should be RB1 now, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a breakout game, 14 carries, 131 yards, 3 touchdowns.
It was
I
against
agree
the
with you.
Bears.
I agree with you.
It
but-
was against the
Scored nearly
Bears.
50 points, though.
Against the Bears.
But can we
Conceded
also argue-
29 points.
for salary purposes, Zeke has to be RB1.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's only got a year left of
Yeah,
guaranteed
so
money.
only this year.
He'll be great at the Bears next year.
But the Bears have gone out and got themselves a nice new wide receiver.
Spoiler that.
Yeah, but
Ah, we're talking about
Yeah,
the
you're
Bears.
thank God he can throw deep because they're going to start 30 yards back now.
Look, at least Justin Fields has started throwing the ball a bit better. I know.
I think.
Do you think he's ruined?
No, I don't. I think the Bears are slowly getting better. I don't think they're.
He's getting better.
He's
I
getting
think
better.
Fields is definitely.
I think
playing better.
Fields are getting better. I think their offense is actually slowly getting better as well.
Montgomery's still not doing anything.
No, Montgomery's not, but Darnell Mooney's come to the party. Even Nikhil Harry had a touchdown this week.
Yeah.
But he should. He was a first round draft pick.
Oh, yes, exactly. But he was a first round wide receiver draft pick by Bill Belichick, so that doesn't mean anything.
I think I might be cutting into what I was going to do later with Cleveland Browns.
Got loads of spoiler alerts out there, haven't we?
Don't do it, Paul. Don't do it.
Why do we bother with a running order?
I'll
Save
save
it.
I'll
Save it.
I'll save
Save
it.
it.
I'll save it. Shall we move on? The Titans.
So Titans, they improved to 5-2 and sit atop the AFC South after a 17-10 win over the lowly Texans. Derrick Henry at 219 yards on the ground is now tied with O.J. Simpson, Adrian Peterson with 6 200-plus yard rushing games.
So can we just that's the only club I'd want to be in, O.J. Simpson. There is no other thing I'd want to be connected to them with.
I mean, the guy's a bit of a legend, really, isn't he?
O.J. Simpson.
No, I mean,
Was
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, but O.J. Simpson, when you go back and watch the tape, he was ridiculous.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
That,
Yeah, a 4-hour chase down the highway.
How many yards did you get that day?
that is some stamina.
Titans only threw the ball 10 times. I think I saw an interview. Yeah,
The way they do it, when they do it
this is what Millie Willis was asked. And he goes, if they can't stop the run, why do we move away from it? And you can't. Derrick Henry had 32 carries at 219 yards and 2 touchdowns.
It's a very easy way to get Malik Willis. Immediately just snap and move.
Dontrell Hillard had 8 carries, so 83 yards. Like, the Texans are bad. The Titans are actually sneaky good. Probably, well, no, they are going to win the
They've
AFC
got a
South.
good coach as well.
They've got a good coach,
good- and the best running back in
And
the
the
league.
game plan works to their strengths.
Give it to the running back
Give it to the
repeatedly.
running back and
They
just let
are.
him go.
They're very simple with what they want to do, and it's when they get behind that it's a problem for them. When they have to move away from the run game,
Yeah.
if the games are tight, they're always in it. If they get 2 scores down, I think they struggle.
Yeah.
Which is why they don't do so well when it gets to playoff football.
On the other side of the ball, the
Yeah,
Texans
good point.
Texans are just bad, right?
Yeah, it's bad.
Any
Nothing else
Also,
really to say.
But the Texans are that bad, they'll end up drafting like 3rd overall because they'll win some rubbish games later on.
Well, there are worse teams than the Texans.
I'm still surprised Brandon
Raiders.
Cooks hasn't moved.
But
Yeah.
if I was coming into this year's draft, this is the one team I wouldn't want to go to. This is the 32nd team I'd want to be. I'd want to be
Don't think
picked
I'd want
by.
to go to the Commanders. I'd rather go there than the
In fact,
Commanders.
Brandon Cooks has just put out that the Texans have crossed the line for not trading him.
Yeah, I just saw that as well.
So that's good. That's
So
good.
he's now not
Bodes
relevant.
well.
Also in the AFC South, we don't want to talk about this. Is a pretty dull game, so we don't want to talk about it. But also in the AFC South, Colts continued their unimpressive season by losing to the Commanders 17-16 in a battle of backup quarterbacks, which saw Heineke come out on top over Sam Ellinger. And to be fair, Ellinger looks all right. And had Michael Pittman actually managed to catch an easy pass, at the death, this might have been a different story. Colts today fired their OC, Marcus Brady, who doesn't actually call plays for the team, but possibly a last throw of the dice for Frank Wright to try and prove he's doing something. But
The horse has bolted. Close that barn door.
Apparently, the Colts actually sounded out Andrew Luck about whether he would come back.
Why would,
It's just
Why would
so
he do
bad.
that? Why would he do that?
would you like to come back and get sacked repeatedly?
no, we're not had a call yet, but it's not far away, is it? God. Why would you? Exactly, that offensive line is terrible. If you're Andrew Luck and you've retired because you're scared of getting injured, why would you go back?
Do you remember when Jonathan Taylor was like
Good.
on pace for like a 4,000 yards last year?
Do you remember when everyone picked him first?
Yeah.
In the fantasy leagues?
I mean,
Who had him? Allen. Sure it was Allen.
people asked me, and I was like, "Oh, who are you going to take?" Because especially my work league, they're like, "Oh, if you get first pick, because that my work league is completely random." They're like, are you going to pick Taylor?" And I was like, "No, God no!" Like, I always thought the Jonathan Taylor thing was a flash in the pan,
One year.
a
wonder.
one year wonder, and I am, being proven right so far. He looks like he's running through treacle, which the offensive line isn't helping him. But the offensive line wasn't great last year.
The pass game's not good.
No.
Nothing's good.
Nothing's good. It's just like they weren't that bad last year.
I don't understand where.
Like,
it's
how
Wentz
is it
was
so
better.
wrong?
Yeah,
Wentz was better than this.
They were a bad game away from getting into the playoffs last year.
yeah.
That's what I mean. And now they are just awful.
So Frank Reich has to go.
Yeah, I think he's got to go soon.
I don't see any way he can keep his job off this season because they're not making the playoffs.
Do you
are
think
they?
he makes the season? I think he could be gone in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It does. It feels like a early divorce is coming.
Jim Irsay is quite a patient owner. I mean, he has been
Is he
by keeping him in this season.
Is he distracted with his own little personal feud with Dan Schneider?
Just trying to look when's their bye. I don't know. It's normally a good indication that
When
they
they
might
can sack,
they might get sacked. But yeah, I agree. Why keep him?
I don't see what he's added.
Like, what's it going to achieve? I think this is a team that absolutely has to clear the decks and start
And
again.
I'm not one for sacking coaches. Like a certain person who's not here, I think we should you've got to have a plan of what you're going to do. But this guy is just ruining that franchise.
I'd rather have Urban Meyer than him at the minute.
Oh my
Well,
god,
that's harsh.
No, let's not go that far.
You're
But-
baiting Griff.
Yeah.
You're just baiting him, aren't you?
But yeah, it's not worked.
No.
But as well, I think the GM's got to answer as well because he has not provided him a team. You say what you want about the quarterbacks. The pass catchers, they're basically the same pass catchers from 2 years ago,
He has got
just without T.Y. Hilton.
all right. So
They're not great.
he's put together like Jonathan Taylor. Okay, 1 year wonder. Fine.
Yeah, but he's been
Pass catchers aren't brilliant. The offensive line last year was decent enough, and the defense was decent as well.
Yeah.
Like they got pieces there. I don't think this is a personnel issue. I think this is now a coaching issue because they're bad.
They are bad, but it doesn't matter if you can stop points if you can't score and you can't throw the ball and it's not the guys just aren't making plays. I mean we watched fucking the Broncos Jags and this was more anemic.
That's true. Right up until the end, where Taylor Heineke had a brilliant.
Taylor
throw to
Heineke had a
McLaurin.
brilliant throw, but it was against the Colts.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
I mean, also, Shaquille Leonard is a big loss for this team in some of the earlier games. You don't understand how important he was to them last season.
Yeah.
But he is back.
He's
He's
back.
still playing. He's
They're
playing
still-
for them now. They're still terrible.
So he changes his name to Darius,
And he'll back to the
and he'll be back to himself.
For the
Commanders.
Commanders, the Commandeers.
Commandeers.
Welcome to the 14th pick.
We went back to Antonio Gibson this week, didn't they?
Didn't really work.
It didn't really work, but
Nothing worked. Curtis Samuel had a decent game. Like I said, Terry McLaurin had a decent game as well.
yep.
I thought Taylor Heineke was good fun to watch. I agree with Griff. He's entertaining.
He's
box
entertaining.
office. He can throw the ball. He can run.
He's a Trump chud, but he's fun watching the football.
Cool. Right, take a break there, and we'll see you in the second half. And we're back, and we'll kick off the second half of the show with where the NFL kicked off Week 8, where Tom Brady's long-term separation from winning shows no sign of ending soon, with a 27-22 loss to the Ravens. In a divorce from usual procedures, it was the Ravens that managed to claw themselves back into the game after being 10-3 down at half-time. The ability to run the ball for the Ravens and the inability of the Bucs to do likewise contribute to the defeat, and leaves Brady sulking into his microwave meal for one.
Well,
I mean,
obviously
that was
Brady's
good writing, first. I just want to tell you that.
Yeah.
Brady's
I
only,
appreciate that.
He's only going to be able to probably play anywhere near the right level every other weekend because he'll have the kids every other weekend now, won't he, as part of the divorce?
But think about how much fun he's going to have when he's getting alimony, because she's 150 million richer than him, isn't she?
Yeah, but I don't believe that would be the case. He's got his Fox deal to come as well, so
It's not money in the bank yet, is it?
I think we don't live in that world.
I think they're both fine.
Yeah, is my point. Yeah.
Anyway,
So you're saying they should bring back Ronald Jones the third?
Well,
I think they should find something to.
Ronald Jones just asked to be traded from the Chiefs because he hasn't played yet this season.
They need something because the running game is terrible. They have 15 carries for 44 yards.
If your answer to anything is Rojo, it's not a question worth
Probably
asking.
a bad question, yeah. Whereas the Ravens 33 carries, 231 yards.
Nice to see the Ravens win a close game.
Yeah.
Again,
Also, it made it made a change for them to have to come back in a game rather than hold the lead and let the team gradually come back. This is a different way of winning for them and it worked well.
I have enjoyed all the pictures of Brady dressed up as a Karen all week as well in wigs because he's just whining non-stop. And how many? There's I saw one which was like some sort of idea of how many iPads he could break in a season. It is funny. I'm enjoying it a lot.
I mean, the thing that disappoints me is that's such a bad division they're in, though, that they could probably they could have a losing record and make the playoffs.
Yep, that could literally happen.
Yeah.
For the Ravens, Mark Andrews was out of the game. He was injured.
He started and then went
started
out.
and went out.
He only got about 40 yards.
One of my rookie picks of the season came big though, as I likely 6 receptions, 77 yards and a touchdown. Of course, I left him on the bench.
Second best tight end rookie in the league.
Is he?
After Bellringer.
No Jelani Woods.
No Jelani Woods.
Yeah, no, Jelani Woods. Yeah,
I saw him. I saw those scores and I immediately thought of you.
yeah, I know. Yeah, you're not going to play him when you've got Mark Andrews was fit. Maybe this week I will play him, but. Ravens getting back to winning ways. That's 2 in a row now. 2 close games. They've won. Not played particularly well, but they've at least won.
I mean, yeah. I love Lamar Jackson. I'd pay just to watch Lamar Jackson,
Like Gary
which is
Love's
lucky.
Cousins.
Yeah, which is lucky because Rashad Bateman's out for a few weeks now, and he basically he is praying that Mark Andrews comes back next week, because other than that, it is Devin Duvernay or bust. I'm still surprised they haven't bought in somebody in before the trade deadline, and Brandon Cooks would help this team. I know we've been talking about in the break that he's expensive next year. That can be sorted out.
Hang on. They signed Deshaun Jackson. Why do you need Brandon Cooks?
Because Deshaun Jackson
Is
400 yards in about a game and a half a season, and then the rest of the time is pony.
And also, can Lamar Jackson throw it 60 yards?
Yes, he can.
He can.
I think he can, yeah.
Regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Not
can.
accurately, but yeah, regularly.
Well, I think his throwing looks slightly better this season, and he can launch it. He's always had a long arm.
Well, that's fine, because that's the only way it's getting to Deshaun Jackson, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Deshaun Jackson's still on the practice squad, so, it's...
Can't do much from there, can
No.
And also,
You have to throw it out the stadium to get it.
You are right, though, after...
We're Giants fans talking about another team's wideout room. We're in a very glass house at the moment.
Yeah.
You are right, though. After the tight ends, it's DeMarcus Robinson, Devin Duvernay, who hasn't been too bad, James Proche the second,
Procky.
yeah, or Josh Oliver. I mean, they've got Kenyon Drake as well, who didn't have a great game on Thursday, but actually has had some pretty decent games in it.
Yeah, and Gus the Bus is back,
Yep.
which,
Dobbins.
For now.
Dobbins is in on IR, but
He'll be back soon.
he'll be
Dobbins,
back.
won't he?
Got another couple of weeks, yeah.
Yeah, the running the ball is great, and that's how the team is built. But
They need some options.
just help fucking Lamar out. It's just so...
give him a 50-50 chance. That's all he needs.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Anyway.
Move on.
So...
I actually got John to agree with that then.
Yeah. So the Bucks loss leaves the Falcons now on top of the NFC South after a somewhat calamitous win over the Panthers, 37-34. Game was forced into overtime despite a PJ Walker and DJ Moore making one of the plays of the season before a stupid penalty pushed the point after kick, and the Panthers missed. Falcons on 3-5. The Saints dominated the Falcons are on 4-4 on the top, and below them in the south are the Saints, who dominated the Raiders 24-0. After a few weeks of stellar performances, Jacobs only ran the ball 10 times, which is absolutely ridiculous. But we're going to start in Atlanta, and then we'll dig into what the hell McDaniels is doing in Vegas. That Panthers-Falcons game was a game to go top of the NFC South, which is just ridiculous because the Carolina Panthers shouldn't be anywhere near that.
No, but it was a fun game. And do you know what? I'm enjoying watching PJ Walker try.
I'm not kidding. That play was amazing.
That was, if Mahomes is telling
It
you
was.
that
It
is
was
the play
amazing.
of this season.
It was amazing. And then the idiot took his helmet off.
Still.
And made it a 42-yard extra point attempt.
Yeah. He then missed again
Yeah.
from 35 yards.
You know,
And I get that, but
But
he still lost them the game.
no, he didn't. The kicker lost them the game. He missed the extra point. That happens. He missed a chip shot. I'm sorry, if you're missing that, that's why kickers don't have a long lifespan in this league. Eddie Pinheiro, I'm sorry, mate. It's
cost them the game. Yeah,
it's cost them the
I
game.
agree with you. I think any kicker should be able to make a kick from under 45 yards automatically.
He didn't, and as well, DJ Moore didn't cost them the game. He made a 66-yard play that get them in the game.
Yeah.
But I agree
And
with you, but
it-
it's still stupid.
The camera kept cutting to him, looking sad on the sideline. And I was like, mate, you've just made the touchdown of the year so far. I know we have to find people to blame, but it's not him. Whatever happened to this Panther season, that was brilliant, and the kicker let them down.
I completely agree.
They kept moving the ball, in overtime, and then the kicker missed.
Considering how bad the Panthers' offensive game has been up until Matt Rule got sacked, it's pretty much a revelation how good they are. I know they're playing the Falcons, and the Falcons aren't that great, but the running game was good. Deontay Foreman, they beat us. Deontay Foreman had a good game, 26 carries, 118 yards. We mentioned DJ Moore, 6 receptions, 152 yards. Terrace Marshall, 4 receptions, 87 yards. Laviska Shenault had 5 receptions, 26 yards. They're finding ways to get the ball into his hands to make something happen. It's looking so much better than it did under Matt Rule with
if you don't
the
have
worst
to
cast.
If you don't have to play to the head coach's ego, you can move the ball. Trust your quarterbacks. We mentioned it last week. PJ Walker's from the XFL. PJ Walker is not an elite quarterback,
but
he's moving He's got experience. He's moving the ball.
Do you know? Obviously, I wasn't at the game this week, and I watched a lot of the games, and I thought it was actually a really enjoyable week to watch.
Yeah,
it was.
It's a lot of close games, some high-scoring games, a bit more offense than we've seen so far this season. It was really quite good.
And because the Raiders were so shit, didn't see them at all. That was nice.
Great.
That was nice.
Man, like the Saints are not that good. You shouldn't be getting shut out by the Saints.
No.
Like their defense finally turned up because they haven't been that great all season. But the Raiders are funny, aren't they?
It's like the previous 2 weeks, Josh Jacobs has been on an
Steve doesn't
absolute tear.
I know they were behind, and I guess that's why they were chucking it.
No, but
They
I'm
were
sorry.
fucking a ball. Oh, it was
You
appalling.
don't go down 7-0 and suddenly have to fight and scrape for every single yard straight away. You've still got 3 quarters of a game left to go. You can still use one of your best players to his potential. You have 10 carries. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's appalling.
I'm just going to call it out. I don't think Josh McDaniels is the head coach.
I think is he one and done?
Yes.
Well, the owner's come out and said he's going to be here for a lot of years.
You can't take anything that the owners say at this point in time.
When you bring in Devontae Adams, you bring in I cannot remember the pass rusher they bought in, but he's very good.
Chandler Jones.
Thank you.
He was very good, apart from
anymore.
at the Raiders. He's very expensive at the Raiders.
When you've brought those 2 players in to a team that was building, you expect results, and they're not. That's embarrassing where they are.
Yeah.
Especially with the Broncos not pulling up trees, and the Chargers not doing great. That they should be doing better.
The Chargers' record's okay.
Chargers record's actually,
Chargers' record is
You lot were
deceptively
bitching
good.
about them last week, but I said to you, actually, they're not doing too bad.
I mean, the Raiders were so bad they brought in Jarrett Stidham for a number of plays.
It's just ridiculous. Like literally, Derek Carr should be able to throw the ball to Devontae Adams, shouldn't he? A few times a game. Like that should be able to happen.
One reception.
Waller, who you're in love with,
He was
John,
out injured.
That's probably hurting him a lot, and you because you
hurt
love
me.
him so much.
All right.
No.
You do love Waller though.
I think Waller. No,
I think he's great as well.
Waller is
You Pharaohs just love to Waller.
he's an underrated tight end here. He could be like, he's not a Kelsey, but he could have the stats of a Kittle.
Can I use something you said earlier? He's a one-season wonder.
Possibly, it possibly could be.
He had that one good season, and he had very mediocre last year, and he's just been non-existent this year. No. I know he's had injuries.
Yeah, I know, but everyone has injuries.
Yeah.
But they do.
Yeah.
Kittle has basically had a year out.
Yeah.
Effectively.
But he's come back.
He's come back and he's doing good things. He's not as explosive as he was in that 1 year he was league leading.
They've got wideouts now.
Yeah,
They do,
That's true. And more of a running game.
but
yeah,
I mean,
Waller's just been. I feel like he's had one splash season, and we got.
he was middling, fair to middling last year. Like
Yeah.
in fantasy, he won me a couple of games because he was very good. But I think and that's the sad thing. He sort of made me forget that in fantasy, especially, never pick a fucking Raider. and I have Waller and Devontae Adams. This is the first year I am not going to make the playoffs in my work league because I picked Raiders. That's the difference. The only difference. Everyone else in my team is scoring points. The Raiders they make me hate football.
Wow.
You notice how this season John has really not sat on the fence at all.
He is funny.
Do you remember when people had a go at me a couple of weeks ago because I was like, oh, you were 17-0 up and you managed to lose to the Chiefs? And they have not... I mean, I know they've had a bye week, but they're just appalling.
It's just bad.
I feel that's how bad they are. I feel sorry for Chase, our Raiders supporting mate. That's because...
Don't say things you'll regret.
All right.
No, I don't.
We'll leave it there. We're going to move on, John.
Oh, man, they're shit.
Yeah. All right, to the frigid north now, where the Bills continue their convincing campaign with a routine 27-17 win over the Packers, who are now dropping to 3-5. Packers just seem devoid of ideas of how to win at the moment. It's just bad. They're a bad team.
There's no shame in losing to the Bills. They're a great team.
No, but I don't think they really put up a fight.
The thing that scares me now is the Bills have Trey White coming in as well.
Yeah, he's coming back off injured reserve. Like, the Bills have got injuries as well, but,
So does everyone.
So does everyone. They're still making it work. Are we to say Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers? Certainly at the moment. But
Right now. And
right now.
Last year as well, I'd argue.
Probably.
There is no shame in losing to the Bills, but there is shame in losing to the Bills after you've lost to the Giants, the Jets, and the Commanders.
Yes. At least show up and give them a game.
Yeah.
Because there is enough talent on this Packers team to give the Bills, or any team really, at least a competitive match. 27-17 doesn't really do the Bills much justice. It could have been more. I just think they took the foot off the gas.
Well, we did discuss it last week that the Packers' upcoming schedule was not that kind, didn't we? We touched on the Bills game. Obviously, Rodgers coming out and balling out the team isn't going to help.
I mean,
it is the Lions this week.
Next week. Could you imagine if they lost that?
But it is after the Lions.
If they lost that, we would literally need to go and check on Dunk, like physically go and check.
If I was the front office, I'd just say to Aaron Rodgers, just stop talking to the press.
After the Lions, though, it is the Cowboys, the Titans, and the Eagles.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a great run.
Yeah.
It's a sucky run. I think they're on bye this week, aren't they?
So they could be four.
Oh, no,
they could be 4-8.
Yes.
Realistically,
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, at least they'll have a high pick to go and pick a really good wide receiver, because none of these wide receivers are getting it done. But I don't necessarily blame them.
I think Rodgers should retire.
Should do, really.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Jones is still elite when they remember to use him as a rusher rather than as a pass catcher. Because I think the week before he had 11 catches. But still, 143 yards and 7.2 average is really, really good.
Run the ball.
Yeah,
do you remember
run the ball.
what's the one thing the Bills haven't been able to do really well?
Stop the run.
No, run the ball
Oh,
themselves.
run the ball.
27 carries, 153 yards, 5.7 yards on average.
Yeah.
Devin Singletary just looked elite against the Packers, and then they got pulled out. James Cook had 5 carries for 35 yards.
You were saying you could quarterback the Dolphins. I think maybe you could be the running back
against the Packers.
Against the Packers, yeah. Because, their linebacker, Key Walker...
His knees wouldn't hold out long.
Key Walker got ejected from the game.
For a quarter.
Yeah. Sorry, Dunk. Your Packers aren't playing very well at the moment.
No, but Dobbs. At least
Romeo Dobbs.
62 yards and a touchdown.
It was a really good touchdown pass.
Really good touchdown pass.
All right. Also in the AFC East, I'm just really gutted Griff isn't here for this. The Pats put an end to the Jets' run of form, reverting back to the norm and winning 22-17, with Mac Jones being allowed to play the whole game despite throwing an interception, and Belichick overtaking George Halas in the number of wins.
This only happened because that second interception got overturned.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been overturned.
It should. It was the right call, but it was a really stupid
silly thing to
by
have
the
done.
lineman to have done, because it was just unnecessary, and that went back for a pick 6.
Yep.
It wasn't just an interception; it was a pick 6. And at that point, I think the Pats would have been too far back. Yeah. And I think 2 interceptions, you might have seen Mac Jones get pulled.
Potentially,
and I reckon that one bad penalty probably cost the Jets this game.
Yeah, I think the defense was really good.
It was the penalty, and also Zach Wilson lost his mind.
Wilson is just.
They had no idea other than just kind of run around slightly then throw it out.
I mean, losing Breece Hall is going to be a massive loss if Michael Carter and James Robinson can't step up to the plate. Which, based on Sunday's performance, they can't. But you can't let Zach Wilson throw the ball 41 times.
Yeah.
You've got to limit him to maximum 20 throws. I don't think Zach Wilson is it. I'm out on him completely. I'm done. I want to believe, but
Bring in Flacco for me.
yeah, I would.
They
I really
looked
would.
a better team with
They
him.
did. I'd even give Mike White a try at this point. Because what have you? I mean, okay, they're 5-3. Are they going to the playoffs?
That division,
No.
right? So basically, you've got the Bills, who are quite clearly the best team in that division.
Dolphins.
And then, well, I think the Dolphins next, but it is still very close. You know, when you're talking like, you know, the difference between the Jets, the Patriots, and the Dolphins, all playing at their best, you could argue any of those could beat each other. It is that type, which is why we've argued so much about where everyone's going to finish in the division all season.
I completely agree. I think if they're all playing at their best and they've all got their best players, I agree with you. I think losing Breece Hall was just a huge loss. And if Zach you just can't lean on him to win you a game.
So you think the Jets are going to finish bottom? We're going to get our money back.
He's the
Potential, I'm afraid. Yeah.
And you know what?
They bottom now. They are, aren't they?
No, they're still second.
Just.
Yeah, they're level with Miami. They're both 5
What, the Pats won back?
5-3, and the Pats are on 4-4.
What an insane division.
Nuts, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson's like the exact opposite of like Jimmy G.
Yeah.
He's gonna cost you a game. He's gonna cost you the game, and that's what happened.
Jimmy G would have like one bad game in 3 or 4. Zach Wilson will have one good game in 3 and 4.
No, it's and apparently the Jets back office are furious because they put a lot of capital into this guy, and I think just watching that game this weekend, they were like, "What the fuck have we done?"
I think there's a problem in the dressing room as well. Elijah Moore.
Elijah Moore,
really a talented wide receiver, who's back this year. He's just not getting the ball enough, and he's kicking off wanting a trade.
Well, they did say, I think, are you one of the best wide receivers in the team? And he went, I don't know. They don't throw with the ball to me.
And yeah, I would ask. He had one target.
I mean, Garrett Wilson is very good.
Yep.
He's Tyler Conklin is a good receiver. A tight end still, but a good pass catcher. But hell, throw the ball to Elijah Moore.
But this was based on
Mike White could do it.
This was based on my confidence in them, though, because if you look at that roster, there's no real weak position you call out.
Quarterback.
But there shouldn't be. They've got the second overall pick.
It's potential. That's the thing. It's picks. It's potential.
You know that with quarterbacks. Only half of them ever make it.
Yeah.
And that's only half of them in the first round, I think.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah. 10% probably in total. Anyway, we're going to stay in New York. Gallant Giants succumbed to a loss this week, going to Seattle and losing 27-13 to Geno Smith and co. Pete Carroll almost gave himself a heart attack and did get a penalty for celebrating a third down conversion a little bit too wildly. Again, I really hate penalties where you're celebrating.
Yes, it's
and
bullshit.
You're not really causing any offence, like taking a helmet off.
I mean, unless he's teabagging a bloke on the sideline, I don't care. Let it happen.
I'm sorry, but what's the difference between some guy? You've got 10 guys doing the electric shuffle, and that's not taunting.
Yep.
But I took my helmet off and
celebrated
fist
one of the best players of the season. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Sometimes you remember why it's the no fun league.
Yeah, absolutely. So how are we feeling about the last Giants? I wouldn't feel too bad about this one.
We're 6-2.
Yeah.
If you'd have offered me 6-2, I'd have laughed myself into a passing out.
Difficult place to go and play as well.
Yeah,
Geno Smith, MVP caliber quarterback.
He's playing really well.
Don't.
He's not MVP, but he's playing so well. And
Griff was here, he'd argue that, don't he?
Well, me and Griff were sat.
He's a contender.
We're sat in the concourse this weekend, going, well, maybe because it's taken 8 years for Geno Smith to unleash his potential. is it time for an EJ Manuel comeback? Because because maybe he's just been waiting for the league to catch up to his genius.
I mean, he gives hope to all those quarterbacks like Sam Darnold and probably Baker Mayfield at this point, who are going to be perennial backup quarterbacks. And maybe in 10 years' time, they might just be good enough to start.
And I have to apologize. I know Griff starts his podcast recently with an apology. I have to apologize to the Seahawks. I thought their draft was mental because they were drafting like a team in win now. And they're winning. And every one of their draft picks has been an absolute star. Yeah. So whatever they're drinking in Seattle, keep it up. For the Giants,
it wasn't going to go on forever, was it?
It wasn't going to go on forever. And we don't have a good enough team to get by with injuries to people like Evan Neal. And, we made too many silly mistakes as well. Penalties, fumbles. It seemed a bit like the Giants of old. Yeah. So, I mean,
we're still in it towards the end.
And that's it.
It's not like you got absolutely destroyed. I think, the Seahawks played well, but not astoundingly well. I think their run game was pretty good. I think you bottled that up. Kenneth Walker had 18 carries for 51 yards, which isn't anything to write home about. Tyler Lockett dropped about 4 pretty straightforward catches.
And the rip out by Adoree Jackson was...
Yeah.
I mean, Adoree Jackson has been, a brilliant comeback for someone who was non-existent last year. He's been brilliant this year. Although, have you seen the what DK Metcalf did to him for the Kenneth Walker touchdown? So DK Metcalf just takes Adoree Jackson out the game completely by pretending to catch the ball. At that point, Kenneth Walker runs in unobstructed because we had missed 2 tackles on him.
Takes a lot to tackle that guy.
But
the Giants go on to a bye now, don't they?
Giants on a bye week.
I think that's good timing.
Nice timing.
Yeah, and when we come back, it's the Texans. So it'd be nice to get a winning start.
Soft landing from a bye.
So
7-2.
Right, the Eagles remain unbeaten after demolishing a Pittsburgh team that last week the collective power of our group refused to rule out of contention. 35-13 was the final score in Pittsburgh, with A.J. Brown having his way with Steelers' defense with 6 receptions, 156 yards and 3 touchdowns. And if that's not going to get you Executive of the Year for that trade, I don't know what is, because he was...
It flattered...
amazing.
The score flattered the Steelers.
He did,
yeah. Eagles just continue to be brilliant.
Didn't we have an argument earlier in the year whether Robert Woods was as good as A.J. Brown?
Yes.
No.
Yes, we did. There was a conversation held around, you've got rid of him, but you've brought in Robert Woods, who could be just as good. No.
No.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown is really
He's brilliant.
Really good. I'm going to read you the rest of the Eagles' schedule.
You're going to try and see if they're going to lose?
Yeah. Texans, at Texans.
Win. Thursday night game as well.
Yeah. Versus Commanders.
Win.
At Colts.
Win.
Versus Packers.
Win.
Where?
It's in Philadelphia.
Win.
Versus Titans.
That might be a lose.
That could be a slippery. At Giants.
They could lose that.
Yeah.
I think we forget divisional games.
Are
very tricky.
They've, much like
Niners over the Rams.
Eagles generally beat the Giants.
Right. At Bears.
Should be a win.
And then probably the hardest game in the schedule, at the Cowboys.
They probably lose that.
They might lose that. And I don't think it's a bad thing to lose.
I think they'll lose one of the games away in the division.
Yeah. I think that's fair. And then they've got versus Saints and versus Giants.
They could lose to the Saints.
They could lose. And as well, like last year...
Depends what they've got.
Yeah.
Last year depends if they're playing for seedings. If they've already got the number 1 seed for the NFC, then they won't have to...
Last year they lost the last game of the season because they dropped everybody.
Yeah,
they did, didn't
they? And
that's right,
went into... depends on whether you want to go in the hot hand or we want rest. I don't know, but yeah, they look brilliant.
They could be 15-2.
Something like that.
Should be a heck of a record.
They are in win
this
now.
year. You can't predict this league.
Well, do you know last time they were 7-0?
No.
They
Chiefs.
got to the Super Bowl. They did lose that year, but it was the McNabb year.
Yeah.
They are in. This is a front office that's doing win now well.
Yeah, incredibly well. And look, I said it earlier in the programme, Jalen Hurts in the passing game has just come on leaps and bounds from last season. He's a different quarterback.
You have good. If you give them good receivers, most quarterbacks can be good quarterbacks.
Yeah, AJ Brown did a lot of work for them, but he still put the ball in the right place. Right, so
it's a simple game. It's catch.
The only criticism I'd have of it, you see, like what? And don't get me wrong, the Philadelphia are in a much better position than Miami, but I like Miami having two great receivers and both of them are getting the ball. Devonta Smith or AJ Brown, one of them will get the ball and the yards, and one of them will get nothing. Yeah. It'd be nice to see them both involved.
Well, yeah,
they're winning.
They mix it up. Some of that will be to do with coverage, won't it? So it's like, well,
I just think the Pittsburgh Steelers got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, Goddard as well adds to it all.
Yeah.
What's happened to on the other side? What's happened to Najee Harris?
He is awful. He's got the lowest.
Terrible. He's got less rushing yards than Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and less touchdowns than somebody else completely random. And his average yards are like 2.5 or something. He's really poor.
This is a bad team.
It's a bad O-line.
Really bad.
But
O-line.
he always seems to be just sort of like jinking for space, like trying to make moves and
just run straight.
I think what he really could do with like an Ingram or a Melvin Gordon, just to bash through, help him out.
I think he's that type of player. He's right. He can move around, but he's got the physical stature. He can run through the tackles.
But I feel for him because the guy's talented and he's being let down.
Just on a bad team.
But Tomlin deserves as much time as he wants.
Oh, Tomlin can tank this team for a while. He's fine, but
I think you'll find a lot of Steelers fans will disagree with that.
Well, yeah, but
right. After a series of losses under Jacoby Brissett, the Browns finally managed to win by beating the Bengals on Monday night 32-13. Nick Chubb was back to over 20 carries, contributing to the Browns' total of 44 rushing attempts, 172 yards and 3 touchdowns. And all seems to have been right in the world again for Stefanski, who may have realised just run the damn ball.
Yes.
Well, and also, just let Myles Garrett
murder
Joe Burrow.
yeah.
Basically, because the defense won this game.
He just has his number, doesn't he?
Yeah,
But that's how
he's lost 5 games against the Browns, hasn't he?
Play defense and running game.
He must have the worst record ever against the Browns. Any quarterback that's played more than 2 games.
Possibly, because it's
everyone else has won at least 50% of those games.
But I know he's come out and said it doesn't matter that Chase wasn't there. I think it matters that Chase wasn't there.
It matters to the other receivers that he wasn't there. Because
especially
they're not good enough by themselves.
Mixon is not having a good year.
He's having a terrible year.
And Mixon's a talented running back, but it's just not happening this year. Which means it is all on Burrow. And effectively, when it's all on Burrow, that means it's all on Jamar Chase.
Haven't got a good enough tight end either.
No, they haven't.
They could have done with drafting one in the first round.
What, like Jelani Woods?
That's a perfect example of who they could have had, yeah.
There we go.
Hayden Hurst
He caught all 4 of the targets.
Is fine, but he's not. He's when you consider what other teams have got.
When you take Jamar Chase out, I think T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are very good receivers, but they're number 2 receivers.
I think T. Higgins could be a wide receiver 1.
I don't think
so.
He is very good.
No.
I think he needs
to have a running mate.
Chase.
Yeah,
he needs Chase and Mixon. And
him and Watson will be interesting though because they played at college together, didn't they? Because Higgins came from Clemson.
Did yes.
Yes, it'd be interesting.
Maybe there's chemistry there already.
Yeah, be interesting to see.
But I mean,
Which Watson?
Deshaun Watson.
Well, they play on different teams, don't they?
I'm talking out my backside, aren't
Higgins
I?
plays for the Bengals.
You fucking are, yeah.
They both went to Clemson. Goodbye.
They both did go to Clemson. There might be chemistry there.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting if they ever play on the same team again.
Yeah, let's re-record that bit.
It's trade deadline day. Nothing makes sense anymore.
Right, let's go on to that because, as it usually does, the trade period heated up just as the deadline approached and then passed at 4 p.m. Eastern time, which was a couple of hours ago as we record this. So far, this is what we've seen. Aside from the Christian McCaffrey trade, we chat about that. We've seen pass rusher Bradley Chubb move from the Broncos to the Dolphins. The Dolphins also get a 5th-round pick in 2025. Broncos get a 1st in 2023, which used to belong to the 49ers. They also get a fourth in 2024 and Chase Edmonds. Incidentally, the haul that the Miami Dolphins got from the 49ers, they've turned into Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, it's pretty decent, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, that's some good front office management. Let's go through them, and then we'll come back to them. Roquan Smith gone from the Bears to the Ravens for a 2nd and a 5th round pick, plus AJ Klein, the linebacker, goes the other way. Lions tight end TJ Hawkinson has gone to the Vikings. It includes a 2023 2nd round pick and a 2024 4th round pick. And the Lions get some picks back as well. Chase Claypool, unfortunate enough to be heading to Chicago in exchange for a 2nd round pick. Calvin Ridley has gone to the Jags, which is a 3rd or 2nd round pick based on the next contract he signs. Jeff Wilson's gone to the Dolphins from the 49ers for a 5th round pick. William Jackson's gone from the Commanders to the Steelers for a 6th round pick. And finally, Nyheim Hines has gone to the Bills for a conditional 6th round pick plus Zach Moss. Should we start with the biggest trade, I think, which is probably Bradley Chubb. That makes that Miami team a lot better on the defense, because that's probably the one area they were missing.
Yeah, that's a really great trade for them. If you know, say potentially, it's all based on potential like everything else. But if he comes in, he can be a massive difference maker. It might mean that the Dolphins don't have to score 30 points a game and rely. You know, if they can get by on 20 something points a game, because I know
Broncos are just written off their season.
Yeah,
I feel like they have.
They've admitted it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as you say, it's great because Miami has a very decent secondary, and you're potentially forcing more ball going to that secondary, which I think is wonderful. Really great trade.
Yeah. I think they're contenders.
They really are.
Sneaky. I mean,
I thought everyone's a contender.
Everyone's a contender, but I don't think the Dolphins will be able to overhaul the Bills at this point. But they'll go in on a wild card, and you wouldn't want to play them.
In the playoffs, they'll be scary because you're going to have to score a hell of a lot of points to beat them. Yeah. Because, I mean, they're probably as close to sort of peak Mahomes era Chiefs because of Tyreek Hill. Like, they can just score points. Like, whether Jeff Wilson will make them have a running game as well, we shall see.
Yeah,
I personally doubt it.
He'll get some yards, but whether the ball will go with him.
That's the ultimate running back by committee, isn't it?
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert, a couple of others, although Chase Edmonds has gone the other way to the Broncos now. So, the Bears' defense this year, they've lost. Roquan Smith just gone as well to the Ravens. They also lost Robert Quinn, who went to the Eagles.
Khalil Mack.
And Khalil Mack has gone as well. That's quite a lot of pieces that they've shipped out from what was a really good defense at one point.
I'm assuming Matt Eberflus is aware of this.
I just think they're stockpiling picks.
That's it. They have. We were looking at it earlier. They have $120 million in cap space next year. They are stockpiling picks. I mean, the thing with the Bears is, do you trust them to make the right decisions?
No.
I think basically they went to him after he cried. Said he did cry.
Well, he
saw it in the press.
Yeah,
I'm not denying. I'm just laughing.
I think they went to him and said, "Do you want to be part of this project? Next year will be better. If not, we'll trade you."
Yeah,
and I think
he's due a contract.
And I think he went. I think he went. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think he's willing to be there. He wants the money. He keeps saying, pay me. He rejected a contract in the summer, didn't he?
Yep.
Because he said it would be letting down other linebackers to accept what they offered him. You'd think the Bears would be up for a star off-ball linebacker.
Yeah.
Effectively, if you're an off-ball linebacker, you'll probably get your most chance of being paid at the Bears or the Ravens. And he's gone to the Ravens. You'd imagine he's probably going to get a contract there. But it seems strange. I feel for Bear fans who basically have just watched so much talent leave, and we know Justin Fields is getting better.
Yeah, he's got a new weapon now.
Chase Claypool. I'm a huge fan of Claypool, but I do feel for him. But he's actually it's probably actually improved his situation leaving the Steelers right now because they're not great.
But also, that's good work from the Steelers to get a 6th round wideout and turn him into a 2nd round pick a year later.
Yeah, I mean, as well, he was the best quarterback on display in the Steelers this week. He at least had a touchdown pass.
Speaking of quarterback help, I think we mentioned it earlier, but TJ Hawkinson to the Vikings. Brilliant. That. I think that works for everyone. I think the Vikings get another threat to their offense. I think the Lions get more draft picks, which is what they want going into next year. And I think Hawkinson gets a chance to prove he is an elite tight end because I think he has got that potential. He's shown glimmers of it. He's just never had that consistency, and I don't think that's as much on him as it is with Jared Goff.
Yeah,
and the Lions in general.
What you may find is, the fantasy, douchebags will find that his yardage and stuff may go down, but only because he's in such a competitive.
I think his touchdowns could go up.
His touchdowns could go up though, but yeah, he's not going to end up with 7 or 8 targets a game just because they have Justin Jefferson and they also have a running back who is brilliant.
And they also have Adam Thielen.
Yeah, Adam Thielen. Yeah. No,
he'll just be the new Carl Rudolph. When he's needed.
Nothing wrong with that.
The trade deadline, we've covered it for the last 5-6 years. We've been doing this. It's normally a damp squib. The only one I can really remember is Jay Ajayi. This is blockbuster. This is a blockbuster trade deadline because Roquan Smith is a top 3 linebacker in the league.
Bradley Chubb
is huge.
Christian McCaffrey.
Hawkinson is a brilliant
top 5 tight end.
Yeah. We haven't even mentioned Calvin Ridley, who on his day is...
Well, that's the Jags saying they're building for next season.
That could be a sneaky good trade because he's a number 1 wide receiver.
He's been out a long time.
Yeah.
He has, but...
How many players have we seen that have been out that long come back? Really?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but he's not been out of an injury.
Properly. But you've still got to be training. You've still got to be running routes. You don't just... Elite sports people do not take a year and a half off to go betting on, fruit machines to then come back, do they?
I agree with you, but for what they've had to give up for him, which,
it's not much.
If it's
worth a
bad,
punt.
If it's bad, it's a 3rd round pick. If they decide to sign him to a long-term contract, it moves up to a 2nd. So if he has a good year and they give him a contract, bang, second round pick. And I think that's fine for him.
I mean, yeah. Once again, if you've got a young quarterback, give him fucking options that are brilliant. And Calvin Ridley could be that.
All right, let's talk about the players that didn't go anywhere and that were rumoured to. Wide receiver Jerry Jeudy from the Broncos, rumours that he could go. Other wide receiver, Brandon Cooks, you mentioned him earlier. Very annoyed not to have gone. Cam Akers, running back, Rams didn't go anywhere. The Rams didn't do anything, which is very much unlike the Rams. Kareem Hunt was another one that was rumoured to be available. Few surprises there, I thought.
Yeah, I really thought Jerry Jeudy would move, but
the Packers were very active. They were active, but nothing happened.
I think if you're just Rodgers, you're just sitting there throwing your arms in the air, going, "What the fuck?" Brandon Cooks, Jerry Jeudy,
probably going,
Kareem Hunt, go and get me someone.
They're probably going,
"You
made this mess. You fucking sort it out."
They're probably going to him. We've got interest in Jerry Jeudy, and he's like, "Is he Devontae Adams?"
Rodgers should have moved. I think if Rodgers was going to do anything more with his career, he should have moved. Should have gone to the Broncos and tried it.
Yeah, really should have.
That's what he wanted. I don't think he wants to be there.
Wait, he signed the contract.
I know. Well, so would I for $50 million a year. I'll do anything for that.
Cousins.
Most things.
All right.
Cousins. Just said that.
Sweetest player of the week nominations.
Cousins.
Who we got?
Should we go around or should we just say?
I'm going with DeAndre Hopkins' one-handed catch.
That was good.
Was amazing.
I'm just going to throw out there the Christian McCaffrey touchdown pass.
Also
and
amazing.
the candidate with the catch actually was pretty decent as well. But
I'm going for the ball boy on the sideline at Wembley with the one-handed catch, which I thought was wonderful. I appreciate it's not actually a play, but seeing it live.
Have you seen the DeAndre Hopkins catch?
It's brilliant.
it is brilliant.
It
but,
is stunning.
But our winner is John.
It's DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend it's DJ Moore. It's the player of the year so far. The sweetest player of the week. XFL's PJ Walker to DJ Moore.
Shall we give it to PJ Walker?
Yeah, let's give
Rather
it to PJ Walker.
rather than DJ Moore, because he made the play.
Yeah, I'm fine
then-
with that.
and then-
It's just a good,
and
I'm
then-
more interested
And
in
then
the play in general.
DJ Moore messed it up.
If Aaron Rodgers would have done it, they'd be showing it for years.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I'm still watching his fucking Hail Marys from few and they're great. It's what you want to watch football for. But yeah, it is a little bit special. We shouldn't forget that.
Cool. Right, let's wrap up. Paul, Cleveland round for this week.
We've mentioned it earlier, and I said I was going to come back to it. But for me, what the bloody hell are Chicago doing? Because I don't understand. Like, clearly there's this idea of just getting as much picks as possible, building as much cap space as possible. But are you just going to have Justin Fields and nothing else? Because you get rid of Khalil Mack, you get rid of Robert Quinn. Combined together, through one way or another, you're losing 23 sacks out of your backfield. You're not going to replace that straight away in 2 seasons with draft picks. You get rid of Roquan Smith. You are losing 100 tackles. On average, 100 tackles a season. You are not going to replace that. To lose 23 sacks and 100 tackles, all pro players and Pro Bowl players, just what's the game?
Look, I think, like, if you see what the Bucks did, yeah, teams can in this league within a year or 2 years, if they have enough, capital to move around, get trades, you can do anything in this league. The way the league is set up, with the right personnel and the right back office, you can do that. The issue is that the Bears are a bad organisation. That's the problem. So, and they're burning it down to try and start again. How they do that will be, we saw the Browns do this year after year after year. So they're either going to burn it down and leave nothing to start with, no foundations whatsoever, or they're going to do it the way that, the Rams were poor for years. Before McVay was there, they were like a 500 team every year, weren't they?
Yeah.
That's what Jeff Fisher does.
Yeah, but I know we talk about it, but they were. So it really comes down to how that is managed. We've seen some teams, so like, for example, the Niners, they go up and down a bit, don't get me wrong, but they were bad for like 3 years.
Terrible.
But they were terrible, but then they came back. The Giants and the Jets, bad for
6-7 years.
longer. The Jets have been bad
probably
for
about 30 years.
20, 25 years. But teams do attempt this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Teams do attempt this, but the recent thing has been the doing it for a reason. So, the suck for luck, the tank for Tua. What are they doing? You've got your quarterback in place. What are you getting with all these picks?
If they give a coach 3 or 4 years and they say, right, by year 3, we need to be moving forward, then it can work.
If you're giving an inexperienced coach all this options and then go deliver, I don't get what they're doing. And for me, the kind of to give so little to them this year, it just makes them Chicago Bear.
Nice.
I was waiting for it. I was wondering what it was going to be. That's what I was waiting for.
It's
Had to thumb in the pun.
I don't know.
I was thinking about it on the way out, thinking, what are the successful rebuilds lately? And basically, it's the Bucks because they got Tom Brady and they used his star power and his mates.
Still had a lot of pieces there before.
But they still had pieces there before. It was a sort of a half build.
Well, it was a great defense and bringing in Brady.
Yeah.
The Eagles, the Nick Sirianni year, they looked. Let's remember how bad they were.
Yeah, they've
The last year with
They've
Pedersen.
added a few pieces, but again,
But they've done it. They've done it quickly. But other than that,
With Nick Sirianni, I read in terms of he was the one writing all the plays for Reich. He was the one who was writing all of the things that Reich would call. You see a clear drop-off of Frank Reich and what he was doing with Sirianni out the picture.
Bengals.
It's
Bengals,
really...
Bengals went from like a 3-13 team.
Yeah.
You know, like, so my point is it can be done.
It can be done, but it's rare.
It can, and it's
But
rare.
lots of teams try it.
Yeah.
Lots of teams do try it.
And it's rare, but with a team with a history of failure and an inexperienced head coach, this just seems like a recipe for disaster.
Oh, it probably is.
Yeah. And it'll be hilarious when it happens.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Anyone else got anything else? In that case, we'll draw it to close. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.